Well, I originally had a strong love for music, so I started by forming musical groups, and it is in that area that I started working with people like Miriam Makeba, Leto Mboli, Hugh Masekela, Kaifa Siminya, and some of the famous stars who are now, staying overseas. And then it's just the urge that developed in me to go beyond just writing music and forming musical groups. I wanted something bigger, something, like a stage thing or a film thing. And that's how I started delving into stage plays and developing an interest for films.
You had already produced and directed how long as a stage play before?
We started, with it as a stage play. It was tremendously successful. It was very big. It was big, I guess, because the timing was right. The reference book was the thing that was nudging the people and hurting the people. So when I wrote about, the plight of a little boy who had to come back from the country to join the family he had left when he was a kid, and the problems he encountered when he came back because he had to prove he was born by that father and by that mother. So I think this is why How Long was very, very, successful and popular.
How did you conceive the idea of doing a film about it?
Well, I did a film for many reasons. I thought this was a social, problem that, social and political problem that, the government had to, address very quickly. So I thought maybe by putting it on film, to see the realities of what it is doing more than hearing from reports. But secondly, it's just a love, as I've just said to you, of making a film, see my music and my dancing and the story, unfolding. And equally important, I've always had a dream of an art center in the township. Not only in Soweto, actually, all over the country. I'm a social worker by profession, and this has been my desire. I haven't reached it, and I thought, getting into films would enable me, to rake up more money than I'm doing on stage. So these are some of the reasons that made me to start films. I am still actually working on that even now.
Now, when you came to think about a film, there was no tradition of black filmmaking whatsoever in South Africa.
Absolutely none.
So what did you have to do? I mean, everything was controlled by whites. The equipment, the theaters,
You had to obviously to engage a production house and get your crew, though I handpicked them instead of going to,
Could you just mention this, and then perhaps say something to the effect that you had to deal with white people because they had all the equipment and so on?
Yeah, when making How Long, had its problems. The actors were not familiar with films. So we needed really expertise, and this expertise would only come from whites who were not familiar with the game. And many of them could not relate, strongly to what I wanted to project. That was problem number one. I had to go to people who would listen to us and work along with us and actually try to translate our ideas, into something cinematic, because they also had no experience of township dramas and films and the rest of it. So that was a major problem at that stage. So obviously, there was not a single black guy, except I think one sound man who had an idea of the game. It was basically relying on Wasim, a white crew.
Say that again, because you are.
That guy, I know, yeah.
Just say that last part again.
All right. In terms of the crew, I think we only had one black guy who was a sound man, but otherwise, generally it was all whites who were familiar with the game. So we had to go for a white crew.
And how about